If in your survival-based childhood with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and in most cases you learned a belief that you were unworthy, the ego creates this probably unconscious or subconscious defense mechanism that has you stuck inside of a limiting belief that you are unworthy. With that, you will seek and attract people and situations that reinforce the belief that you are unworthy. Now, let's look at the contrast of the journey of healing and going beyond that belief that is, let me just make it very clear, just a belief. Your belief that you are unworthy, if you do believe that, is just a belief. It doesn't mean that it's true. Beliefs are just beliefs. Just beliefs. You can believe that you can't do something, you will live according to it. But again, it's just a belief. This is how powerful beliefs are. They pretty much run your fucking reality. Now, let's look at the journey of healing from the belief, just the belief, that you are unworthy. The ego state has essentially created subconscious and unconscious defense mechanisms that keep it trapped inside of the belief of unworthiness. It is comfortable and familiar to the ego state to believe that it is unworthy. Whenever somebody comes along that challenges that belief, and say, for instance, they would otherwise reinforce a belief that you are worthy, it doesn't make sense to the ego state. It is a different language. The ego state learned the language of unworthiness. This person is bringing with it an energy that is different, a language that is different. It is essentially like completely being fluent in English. And I'm not saying that English has anything to do with worth or unworth, just saying that it's like literally somebody speaking a different language and you not understanding it. They come to you, hey, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. And you're like, they're speaking gibberish, I don't understand it. So essentially, to keep you quote unquote safe, the ego state creates these defense mechanisms that keep you stuck inside of the belief of unworthiness because it feels safe. It feels comfortable and familiar to childhood. So you could have these incredible fucking immaculate flowers come along with all of these intricate designs and dynamics and everything. And I'm utilizing this as a metaphor to communicate the beauty of people that not only are, or I should say, see themselves as worthy, but would also reinforce in your life worthiness. But no, you push that out. Oh, I can't allow myself to see myself as worthy because if I do, I will cease to exist because I don't exist outside of this belief, this structure of unworthiness. When you are healing from wounds of unworthiness, you essentially have to give yourself permission to go into these different situations that validate your worthiness. And I'm not saying that it's worthiness that is attached to the external. It's an entirely internal dynamic. Healthy self-worth is intrinsic. So many people have a very hard time understanding this because they were taught extrinsic, externalized self-worth. They were taught in a survival-based childhood with fight, flight, freeze, fawn that they were not inherently worthy as they were. They were taught that they had to do a bunch of things outside there. They had to, chase a bunch of different things, get a person, get a thing, get a job, get a fucking degree to be worthy. They were not taught of inherent worthiness. So for people that were trained and deeply fucking conditioned into extrinsic self-worth, worth that is only existent based on something out there, people that come into your life, if you're not on the journey of healing, and if you're not on the journey of flipping that entire fucking dynamic from extrinsic to intrinsic self-worth, it's going to look weird. They're speaking a different language. Wait a second. No, that doesn't make sense. I am worthy only based off of what I achieve out there. Internally, I have no fucking inherent sense of self-worth. Self-worth. That just doesn't exist. So when you're not on that journey, it's a different language to you. And quite honestly, it might be a language that you're not even interested in learning. You know, it might just be a language that you want nothing to do with. But when you are on that journey of healing extrinsic, externalized self-worth, essentially what happens is it's still somewhat unfamiliar space for you. You're still somewhat like, do I just stay inside of the survival-based dynamic, trusting that I have to exhaust the flying fuck out of myself because, you know, my worth is tied to things out there and I don't exist. I am unworthy unless and until, if conditional, I get someone or something out there. Then what it really becomes a game of is learning to encourage the little you that was fucking obliterated and violated in childhood and trained and deeply conditioned into extrinsic, externalized self-worth, and just encouraging him or her to be like, yeah, you know what? I take my power back. I'm going to untie all of these strings, all of these knots, no matter how fucking intimidating they are, no matter how fucking comfortable and familiar and safe they feel. I'm going to untie and I'm going to teach myself of my own inherent, intrinsic, internalized self-worth. It's a challenging thing to do, especially when you have an entire system behind you that's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? What, you think you're fucking special or something? You think that you are worthy for nothing? Oh, give me a fucking break. Are you kidding me? Here, have some fucking neurotic guilt. Here, have some like survivor's guilt. You should be fucking grateful that we fucking brought you into this world. Who the fuck do you think you are? What the fuck do you think you're doing? To untie all of your fucking worth from the external. No. You are only worthy based on what you get out there. There's fucking nothing inside of you. All of these things that people will say to you to try to keep you stuck in the comfortable and familiar, safe dynamic of extrinsic, externalized self-worth. Extrinsic self-worth is not healthy because it exhausts you, and it's more so, actually, I would argue, not claiming fact or truth here, but it's more so illusory because, like, are you actually, like, worthy based on the things that you have out there? And not only that, but, like, look at the reality of, like, ownership. It's an illusion. Say, for instance, you have something out there and that determines your worth, right? Okay, so all of a sudden you get it. You're worthy, right? Oh shit, you lost it. You're now unworthy. Look at the roller coaster that is. I've made multiple videos on the subject of self-worth, explaining the contrast between the healthy intrinsic dynamic and the unhealthy extrinsic dynamic of having and being worthy and losing and all of a sudden being unworthy. It's sad. It's sad to be raised in an unhealthy survival-based childhood with fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and to learn that you are not inherently worthy. It's fucking sad. Because then what happens? Children learn that they are only worthy based on what they have out there. And, I mean, it's desirable to be worthy, but it's also fascinating to look at the dynamic of how you achieve that worth. When you realize that on a healing basis, you can achieve that worth inherently, intrinsically, by seeing yourself as worthy, even though there might be a bunch of people in your life that are like neurotically fucking guilting and shaming you for thinking that you have any place to determine yourself. You do. And that's just representative of how they feel about themselves. They're triggered. Oh, how do I take this power upon myself to determine myself, to, feel worthy. Nothing else determines that for you. Nothing. You can think it does, you can believe it does, and there are definitely people out there that will try to get you to believe through what I would argue to be manipulative tactics so that you don't actually believe that like you are special or something. And it's not even a matter of being special, it's just a matter of seeing yourself as you are, inherently worthy. And somebody might say, like, oh, I guess religious standards should be in place. You are worthy under, I don't know, a higher power's eyes. You're worthy, regardless. Like none of that stuff has anything to do with it. And the journey of healing from all of the ties that you've learned to tie your sense of self-worth to is what it's all about. And just encouraging the little you, no matter what anybody has to say about it, encouraging little you to untie, to cut those ties, to bring it back to yourself. And I might be able to predict the future that some people might be triggered by this and, comment down below saying, worth is entirely dependent on a higher power's eyes or something like that, or this something up there is the only judgment of it. Not to say that that's what's going to happen, but I know that these kinds of words can trigger people to be like, how dare you think that you're just fucking worthy? Who the fuck are you to determine that? I know that the triggering happens. I know it. And this video could very well be triggering for people. But what matrix do you essentially find yourself in with the dynamic, I'll even argue the trapped, stuck dynamic of believing that there is only things out there that determine your worth and that you are not allowed to determine your worth yourself? Yes, consider this video a challenger to that. It's fascinating, isn't it?